Hi, my name is Rod Lyman here, and we're at Beyond Today doing a live podcast with Ray Kapikoski. How you doing today, Ray?
Hey, I'm pretty fantastic if you consider the fact that I can't wear a headset. A little bummed about that.
Ray's in his house talking to me and that in his lovely, beautiful home, and I'm at Beyond Today and that. So I get to wear a headset. For some odd reason, we couldn't get the headsets to work for Ray. So I feel bad that Ray doesn't get a headset.
Yeah,
So
well, it's next to me, so it'll do. How you doing?
good. How are you doing?
I'm pretty fantastic. I'm
Good.
excited about this. I don't think I've ever done a podcast, nor do I really know what one is. So that probably, it goes without saying that I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, this is going to be great then. Since you have no idea what you're doing, and I just pretend I know what I'm doing, this ought to be a lot of fun.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, good. Well, I just want everybody to let everybody know that Ray and I have been friends for quite a while, and that he's got some great insights and great thinking, the thought process that he goes through, and that he doesn't think like a lot of people. He has his own way of thinking, which is awesome. But you know what? Once you start listening to him, he makes a lot of sense, and you get this aha moments. There's one other thing that Ray does, which is interesting. That is Ray came up with this beautiful new healing modality. Ray, tell us a little bit about that healing modality.
Well, I came up with a name called ribboning. They sort of my guides or whatever. I call them my generals. They led me to do something different. Now, I've been doing energy healing since on and off since I was about 19. And a couple months ago, I was working on somebody, and I was sort of forced to stop. I couldn't do what I was doing, and I was led to the foot of the massage table. And the next thing I knew, I had my hands on my client's ankles, and I thought, oh, okay, this is some kind of routing of energy. But the next thing I knew, I was talking to the client, and I told them that we were going to run a small ribbon of energy up their left leg to their thigh, and I said, can you feel that? And I got a response, and I didn't know what was going to happen after that. But after that, I was led to from the left thigh over to the right hip. And then the next move was from the right hip up to the left shoulder, across the throat to right ear, across the top of the head to the left ear, and then back down as you traverse the same pattern, but in an opposite direction. And every time that I got to a place, I asked my client, do you feel energy moving? How does it feel to you? Uh, there are two other passes that happened, and each time the pass in the same pattern happened, and I could see energy just lifting up, and it seemed
Oh
very
wow!
important to talk to the person. It seemed very important for them to be really involved in it. Like I would say, are you done with this area? And they would either nod, or give me or some would just talk. And so I found out that, and then the last pass is like about a 14-inch pass that takes in a person's, their whole aura. And so that eventually they're covering themselves in small segments, and they are the one that predicts and dictates whether they're done clearing that area or not. Now, I found since I've been doing this with people, I will ask them if they're having difficulty in a specific place, and I will suggest ways of releasing energy in that area, and then I just wait until they're ready to move on.
Wow!
Now, the interesting part is that I kept wondering what was happening with this, and the with talking to the generals, I recognize that it is about the most the simplest removal of energy that you can get. Remember when I talked to you about this, I told you that that it has nothing attached to it. That if
Right.
it
Right. Yep.
has, anything that it does is just energy, and that the messages that I got is that if we attach something to the energy, whatever we attach to it gives that energy power. So if it's a negative kind of thing, it gives it negative power. If it's positive, it gives it positive power. But I also recognize that when you have power that is negative or positive, it makes room for the other one to exist. So so this image that I get is that you just release all power. Doesn't make any difference. Whatever it is, the bottom of your feet to the top of your head, you're just releasing all this energy, letting it all go, and then replacing it with energy of your choosing what it is that you bring in.
So
Makes
basically,
sense?
you're ringing them out. Yeah, you're ringing them out, right?
Well, they're doing it themselves. Yeah, that's an
Right.
interesting way to say it. But the whole thing is that I when I was doing everything that I've ever done, I always felt like when I walked away, they were sort of looking at me as the practitioner. I was the healer, and I kept knowing that all I was really doing is helping them focus, so that they're the healer. It's their body, and their interpretation of releasing energy is really what I want. I want them to recognize that they have the power. I can help them out, and I will. But this is more about helping people heal themselves
Right.
and
Absolutely.
take credit for it.
Well, let them take credit for their own healing, right?
Yeah,
Yep. So,
exactly.
well, so it's more of a guided healing that you do. That.
It is.
And,
It is a. Rod. It's a focused kind of thing. What I've been doing is telling people to, as they're coming over, I want them to prepare themselves. I want them to ready themselves for their own healing. So even before they get there, they're already getting to a place where they're getting excited about it. They're preparing themselves for it. And then when I get them there, I'll help them. So say, okay. So recently I had somebody, and it's funny because I told you how this would happen, and then it happened. I had
right.
somebody come in with a headache, and I and I
No.
said, we're not going to talk about this in terms of you having a headache. That's not going to happen. What we're going to do is simply release energy from the bottom of your feet to the top of your head. And the idea is that as you're releasing all that energy, all the negative energy that or the energy that's blocked up that causes a headache is just part of the energy in your body, and it will release along with everything else. So you're not giving the headache power. You're not giving it a like, oh, I have a headache. No, you don't. You're just releasing energy, and the headache will go along with the rest of the energy.
So basically, what this whole thing is the concept is that you get rid of not just the bad energy, but you get rid of the good energy too. And so you take negative and positive and pull it out.
Right?
And
Yeah,
so
you're
then
right.
you're refreshing everything, right?
Absolutely. That's exactly right. Thank you for that, because I actually I didn't really see it. I'm still learning a lot about it. I have quite a bit that I have enough that I figure that I can present this to people. But there's stuff to learn. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It sounds very fascinating. That how you do that is because I never thought of that concept. Just removing all energy at once and then replacing it with fresh energy. That
Right.
that that would feel really rejuvenated. You would feel rejuvenated and everything else. And it doesn't take anything away from that person. It makes them just stronger healthier and healing.
Well, I started thinking how that affects how when somebody would come to me and learn how to do this for themselves, then they can go to any practitioner anywhere that does anything, and they can be proactive in their healing. So if you went to a Reiki class, a Reiki share, instead of just lying there and hoping that practitioners know what they're doing, you could actually partake in it, and be a part of your own healing. No matter what it is that you do, you can, if you went to a doctor, you can go to a doctor and say, "How do I help you? Help me. What do I do?"
Right.
And really, it's about people getting their power back. I likened it to, like animals don't think about what's wrong with them; they just heal. And on that level, we have that ability, but a lot of it's been taken away from us. We've been told that other people have power, and yeah, well, maybe they do, but so do you.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's going to be a big step, and I see it. I see it affecting other areas of life too.
Right. Absolutely.
I see people really need to have their power, especially in this day and age. You know, um, and I did something last week when I talked. I let I just let myself talk, and one of the things that I was talking about was about recognizing how much power we have, and how it is a very simple thing, that the more we complicate it, the harder it becomes, to recognize it. If you just sit back and say that you're perfect right now in this moment, you're absolutely right, and it's a very simple thing to do. Well, the same thing happens with energy. The simpler it is, the easier it is that you have the ability to feel it and to utilize it, with less constraints and less, things to focus on and all that kind of stuff. Just heal yourself. Just shut up and heal yourself. Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah, and shut up and be happy.
Exactly.
You only have this moment, so it's up to
Right.
you.
So I have a question for you, okay? Such as at Reiki, we are open ourselves up and we're the vessels. We don't do actually the healing and everything else in that. It's channeled energy in that. But
Sure.
they have to want to be healed first. So is that in same aspect you believe it? Is that just a step forward? Is that say a step further, I guess you're saying? Is that, in Reiki? Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I almost think it's a step back. I really see that we complicate stuff so much, and that, I don't know, maybe because it's complicated, it draws people in, it gets their minds excited. But the truth of most of this stuff is that actually it's backwards. It's just letting that kind of thing go, relaxing, and making things very simple for yourself so you can complete it. You can, it's easy to sit back and go, "Hey, I'm cool. you know, I'm all right." you know?
Absolutely. I get that. Totally. Well, and that's the thing is that we should be keeping things simple and that this stuff is not complicated. It's one of the things we teach in that is like people keep asking is how can you ascend in 1 weekend? How can you learn something that takes monks and people many years to learn? That is because we are told it's going to take that long.
Mm-hmm.
If I tell you you're going to learn this in 1 weekend and if you practice it and be part of it, you can be just like the monks in a certain way. And it should be just that simple. It's like, okay, this is what I want, because everything is intent anyway. What you believe in your mind will happen, and everything's intent. And so it's just, that's a beautiful thing, Ray, that said it's more of a step backwards than that. It should be the foundation, before any kind of other healing modality ever made is do something that's simple, so that they get the simple concept and not make anything else difficult as along the way.
I think, this talk that I gave last week, the one message that kept coming out throughout the whole thing, it didn't matter what I was talking about. It didn't matter, when I talked about relationships, I talked about people's ability to think. Everything that I kept saying and I kept coming back to was, you can't get away from this. You're perfect right now. It's your perception that takes you away from the idea of you being perfect. It's your perception that takes you and puts you in places where you have to search and you have to do and do all these kinds of things and read and you cannot be any more perfect than you are in any given moment. Those things are an ad and you can enjoy them, but the idea is to know that you're perfect when you're learning all those things. So a monk is only as perfect as he is that moment. And he is not any more perfect in that moment than he is in that moment, and neither are you. So perfect is perfect.
Absolutely. That's
Get that?
perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
I like it.
And Rod, and
Yeah, go
and
ahead.
the other thing about it that I think is really important is that knowing that you're perfect is only a perception. Okay? Because you cannot be in the moment. You can only perceive the moment. And as you're perceiving the moment is already over because now it's something that you can view. So, for your ability, from a place of knowing that you're perfect, you can say anything you want about yourself. You can perceive the last moment any way that you'd like it. I just think it's cool to say you're perfect. It was a great moment all the time. Oh, hey, that was another good moment.
Yes, it was. I like that. That's absolutely great. Is how many people though that you know that can say they're perfect?
Everybody.
Everybody,
everybody,
everybody
everybody
that
can
you know.
say,
Oh
that's
wow,
funny.
that is good. Everybody. Well, so
Yeah.
so it's the same thing as concept of that is that if people can't say I love you without saying my friend or putting something at the end of it, not everybody can say I love you. So that's why I'm saying not everybody can say they're perfect without putting stipulations to something.
Yeah, they do, and it's really sad. It is something that you have to learn, and and I think the thing is that if you change the way that you focus the feelings and the thought about being perfect, it's like every moment that passes by, you cannot be better than you were.
Right.
I don't care how screwed up you are. I don't care anything about your family or your relationships or your work or anything like that. When you are viewing that moment, you were exactly the way you were supposed to be. That's the way you were. If you were a complete and total mess, that's exactly the way you were supposed to be. So you were perfect. You couldn't have been any better and you couldn't have been any worse. You were exactly the way you were supposed to be. Okay? So
Exactly.
if you recognize that, you have the ability to move on from that. Once you start recognizing that you're perfect, and I'm exactly the way I'm on track. I'm absolutely on track. I'm exactly the way I'm supposed to be. And then you can go and pursue other things knowing that you're perfect, knowing that you're on track. You don't have to beat yourself up about, where you're at because you're right, but you can move from that spot and learn other things and get better and better so that somewhere down the line you can't be any more perfect down the line, but you can be perfect again, just a different way.
Nice.
It's
Nice.
fooling yourself, it's an illusion. So you're fooling yourself and you're believing these kinds of things for your own health. You're you know recognizing that you're who you are, and whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing, you're doing. You're fine. You
Right.
know. Yeah.
So if this is just an illusion, can we change the illusion or make the illusion the way we want it to be?
Uh, too many people are affected by it. We could change it if we all understood how connected we are. That we are all one. It has the ability to connect, and the illusion can change. Now, in reality, what are we talking about? I've seen several times. I've seen our universe, our reality as we live it. I see it as it's like a screen. It's on a piece of paper or something, and it is from the time that we're born. It is what people have told us, what we expect, what we see, what we view. And it is the illusion that we bought because it was handed to us. So this is the way the world is.
Right.
Now, what I've been shown is a film, like a mylar screen behind the illusion that we're shown. It's like having a paper behind a paper. And on the paper in the front that we see is the way we live. And that secondary paper behind it, that's where we can sort of go, well, you know something, guys, guess what? The paper that we're looking at right now is really a mess. It's not right. And so why don't we start to imagine what it would be like in the paper behind it? And then we can start to make plans as to how that can be altered. Now, the only way that that can truly be altered in our reality is through our children and their children. So if you get a kid, like I learned a lot of this stuff in my 50s and 60s, and it's a little bit late. But if you tell a young kid, listen, this is the way the world works right now, and we can tell you that it's wrong, and we can tell you that we need to come together and we need to have a plan. A plan has got to come into place that we can change this, we can alter this. And the only way that we can do that is somebody's got to come up with a plan, and then we got to pass it around so that other kids see it. Maybe eventually we can start to implement it, but we don't have a plan right now. Nobody likes the way it is, but if we had a revolution today, we would create the exact same thing because there's no plan.
Right.
All right.
Right. But no,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting there pondering this thought. Okay, is that okay? So we have no plan. Like the different sayings. If there's no plan, we plan to fail. All these different things in that. So, but life isn't a plan, but it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There's it's everything and nothing at all.
Well, there is a plan, but Janet asks me all the time, how can we possibly fix this? And I keep saying we can't. We personally can't, and we cannot fix it for us. What we can do is do the best we can recognize and do the best that we can today with what we have. We can take steps to care about other people. We can do small things here and there, but what we need to do is we need to start to set up so that, generations from now, which we will still be connected to, those generations have got to come up with a plan. We have to make it so that other people have the ability to think things out, have the ability to get the information that we have and then advance that information onto the next level. Maybe somebody somewhere down the line will come up and have an aha moment and say, something, guys, this is the way that we should do this, and this is how we can do it. And perhaps there'll be enough people aware of the necessity of a plan that they will go, hey, good job, let's give it a try.
By the way, By the way,
Right.
I just have to add this then. By the way, that for people that don't know who Janet is, Janet is one of Ray's advisors, and that
My honey bunny.
in this physical world. Anyway, so I just thought I'd throw that for the people that didn't know who Janet was. That it's his honey bunny that is one of his advisors.
keeps me here, keeps me grounded.
Yes.
I thought that a mistake that humanity made is that, and we didn't know any better, so can you do? But we decided, from caveman days, how to live, how to get by, how to survive, and then from there it grew. We grew out of caves. We went into clans. We moved on, and we ended up with these societies, and we ended up with nationalities and different religions and all the things that we have today. And it's been moving along for however long it's been, thousands and thousands of years to get to where we are today. And nobody had the idea that what we should do is what we should have done is said, listen, okay, we're going to live like this for a couple thousand years, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at it and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, we're going to can it and we're going to try something else. Because everybody is locked into the idea that this is the way it is and this is the way it has to be. Because no one ever said, hey, why don't we take a time out and go, what the hell are we doing? This is messed up. Why, and I think that people are getting it. I think that people are starting to really look at it and go, do we want to fix this or do we want to just come up with a new idea? I think it's all broken, and we need to do something where, people are loving each other and helping each other and actually knowing that we're connected. And I think connection is the big deal. Connection is a very big deal.
Absolutely. Well, because we're all one, first of all. I mean, that's the first and foremost things. We are all one. But I have a question for you. We're all one. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, we're all one. But there's one thing is that we, like you said, we're perfect in an imperfect world.
Right.
So if we all knew we were perfect, wouldn't we make our world perfect?
Oh, hang on a second. The world's perfect too. It's exactly where it's supposed to be. It's exactly where it's supposed to be, and we're supposed to be learning from it so that we can continuously make it better. Now, we had to survive. For some reason, survival has, we had to protect ourselves. We had to make sure other people weren't going to kill us, and we had to form these groups. And so, our information is skewed because it came out of fear. We needed to survive. Well, now we're starting to recognize that most of the people on the planet right now really don't want to kill each other. If you went to another country and there wasn't any governments and there weren't any religions and things like that, those people wouldn't give a shit about you. They would not care about. They would not want to kill you. They would not want to do anything. They just want to live happy lives and take care of their families. And most people are like that. People are taught to hate each other and taught to fear each other. And that's one of the things that we have to look at. We have to revisit that and recognize, when you start to recognize that there's absolutely nothing out there, it's not just people. There's nothing out there that we are not connected to. We're a part of everything. Right. And we're a part of the nothing that people think is nothing, but that nothing is part of everything. There's nothing outside of everything. And so when we start to connect with that and start to realize that, wait a second, we're being lied to, governments have to keep us at odds or else they don't exist. Religions have to do the same or else they don't exist. And once we start to recognize that we're just fine without all this kind of stuff, we have the ability to come together. And that is a long ways away. It's not going to happen in our lifetime, but I guess the other thing is that just because we have computers that we can hold in our hands doesn't mean that we are advanced.
No.
We're still children.
Oh, we're a
You
very
know?
young. We're a very young world yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we're a bunch of little kids and trying to figure it out and acting like we know what adults are. We have no idea.
Nope.
you know?
Nope.
Uh
I guarantee you that you and I are not like our parents were, and they weren't like their parents were.
huh.
You know
I
that.
know.
So
Yep.
it's a different world out there now.
Yeah, and kids, there's so much information out there for kids. It's just incredible. They're changing, and there's an awful lot of older people that are trying to make them stop and scare them into changing. But I think a lot of them know better. I think a lot of them are getting it. Whether they know what to do about it, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Right.
But they're starting to recognize they're waking up.
Well, have you noticed that the kids nowadays, the younger generations, once they're 1920s and everything else, then they have a self worth to them. They know what they're worth. They know that there's something more out there than what we've been propaganding and telling everybody, what we were even told. There's more out
Uh,
there.
well,
And
I think a lot of that has to do with the collective. I think that people, when they're born now, they pass through the collective, and there's a lot of information. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, Rod. I don't really believe in anything, but these are my experiences. I've been shown a grid of what the collective looks like, and Tom Kryenbrink drew it out for me, and and it's very interesting, but it sort of tells me that as kids are born right now, they have energy that's available to them, that makes them they're smarter. They're just this information is available to them at a very early age. I'm expecting that infants are going to be able to show me how to use my phone, pretty soon. Somebody's got to, for Christ's sake. Still don't know how to use the damn thing, but but something is happening, and when they come here, when they come to this world through their mothers, and I think it has something connected with mothers and mothers wanting to. They have this body that's growing in them, and mothers put all this love and attention and energy into them. And I think an awful lot of what the mothers have as part of them becomes part of these children. And that is, to me, that's where the collective comes in. So I do think that we're advancing really, really quickly. Um, it's a very exciting time.
well, it is. It's very exciting that. So, as advancing quickly in that, um, do you think that we're going to be seeing more things like in maybe aliens or Beyond the Veil or anything else coming up here?
I I don't know. I don't know, but I see a lot of that stuff as a distraction rather than something that's helping us at this point. I mean, it's fun and to think about that stuff and all that, but I'm starting to think that that those kinds of pursuits that a lot of people do right now would be better spent. Time would be better spent, looking back at the rest of humanity. I don't think that we're going to do much advancing because there's so many of us that are really, really left behind. Think of it in terms of, a lot of us people that, and myself included, that do our spiritual quests. We're trying to awaken, we're trying to become more spiritual. And I saw that recently as if we are the human race is trying to run a race. And I feel sometimes like a lot of us, we're trying to run a race and all we're doing is exercising an ankle. And the rest of the body is screwed. you know. And if we're going to run any place, if we're going to advance and go anywhere, what we probably need to do is actually spend our time going back and helping people, figuring out how to make the world a better place for people who are starving. You know, I mean, there's people, we're talking about aliens, but there's people starving today in our country and all around the world. You know, we personally may not be able to do something about that, but if our energy is focused on being more empathetic, sympathetic, trying to help others, if our energy goes in that direction more as a large group, maybe some of the answers that we need to help those people out are going to present themselves. I don't blame anybody for having fun and trying to enjoy their life and all that stuff. I wonder sometimes, you know, could we be spending our time better?
No, absolutely. Our energy, focusing on
Yeah.
our energy. So I got a question, Ray. How would you go about if somebody wanted to connect with another person? And because we're all one, right? And there's a connection there. How do we do that? How do we start connecting?
Okay, connecting. Well, on a very simple level, we have to revisit our idea of communication. What is communication? And a lot of people, you know, in my business, when I'm working with people, you know, and they come to me and they talk about communication, they're always talking about talking. They talk to each other. And I think that one of the first things that we need to do is get really good at listening. I don't think that communication has a whole lot to do with talking. I think it's got everything to do with listening to each other. So, you know, when you walk past somebody in the street and you say hi, how you doing, and they pause, maybe you need to go a little bit further and say, well, no, really, how you doing? You know, how's your life? What's going on? And making connections with people and being freer and more open. Um, the idea of uh, being connected with everybody and a part of everybody. Uh, what a person would want to do as an individual is start to recognize that connection. And one of the things is that when you recognize that you're perfect and in the moment, and you clear your thoughts and you don't have to think about that too much, you can connect to the collective consciousness, which is, you know, it allows you, instead of looking for your own power, your own specific power, if you connect to the power that is everything, it's a much greater amount of power.
Right. So is it just
Did
like
that make sense?
Yeah, but is that just like it's easy enough just to imagine plugging into something?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, think of it. Think of it as why did we unplug? You know, why did we unplug in the first place? Why weren't we allowed to recognize that we were connected to everything to begin with?
Right.
You know, so when you're born, you're sort of unplugged from it all. Now it's just a thing of going, wait a second, you know, I'm connected to everything. I'm a I'm a big part of a huge everything, you know.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. That. So looking at a bigger picture in that, if people started feeling that way, that there's a huge connection in that, would loneliness go away?
Uh, Loneliness go away. That's interesting. Um, I wonder if loneliness is just some kind of maybe loneliness is a signal. Maybe it's not what it sounds like. Maybe loneliness is a way to tell you that you need to move on. Maybe it's a trigger. It's something that says, well, if I'm lonely, what do I need to do?
Right.
You know, so okay, so maybe I need to call somebody, or maybe maybe I need to get closer to myself or something. Maybe sometimes I guess what I'm getting at is that loneliness may not be in and of itself a problem. Maybe it's a signal.
Right. Absolutely. But I mean, think about this, Ray, is being a person that you are, a being, okay?
Yeah.
And not a lot of people like you around, and that you could be in the middle of a city and feel alone, right?
Well, I don't because of my connection. No,
Ah,
I don't feel. I never feel lonely, and I very rarely feel sad or anything like that. I've been doing this kind of stuff that I'm talking about with, being perfect in the moment, connecting to the moment, and all that stuff. I've been doing that for a long time. So most of the time, I mean, when have you seen me not happy?
that's
You
right.
know, I mean, very, very, it does happen. Absolutely. I am human and it does happen. But, I can see, and I guess that's a part of it is that the other thing that I trained myself to do is recognize balance. Balance is huge. There is nothing in the world that's negative that doesn't have an equal amount of positive connected to it. You have to find it. So if you get really good at looking at what's the positive thing, what am I supposed to learn? That doesn't mean you're supposed to run from negativity, because negativity is what teaches you the positive. So you have to look at the negative, and what I do when things are crappy, things are negative, I go whoopee. What am I going to learn? Because I already know that I'll have to go through that, but the whole time going through it, I'm enjoying the negativity because I know that it's there to teach me something. It's not there to kick my ass. It's there to teach me something. So I get very happy about that. And
Right,
so,
exactly.
is that Pollyanna? I don't know. I don't care. Hell,
I
I'm
don't care.
happy. What do I care?
But
uh,
isn't that so there's a like a full circle here. Is like we're going right back to your new modality, the riveting. Because that's what
yeah,
basically you do is you're balancing everything out, making a new of everything. Even the positive
mhm,
has to be a new. And that's really interesting.
absolutely.
Now they study in Taoism that is we're all pendulums within ourselves. Okay, and as far over as the happiness will go, will come back as the sadness and
Okay.
within us. So we're supposed to stay at a rate, just a level, a balanced level in that. We're not supposed to get overly excited or overly sad because as
Uh,
far over as it'll go one way, it can go back the other way. That how does that equate in your life and how you deal with stuff?
no, no, not necessarily. It doesn't. I don't see it. I don't see it that way, and I understand what they're talking about, but I don't live that way. I can see. I'm here. I'm here to enjoy my life. I'm here to grow and to learn. And how I do that is up to me. So if I'm the kind of person that says I welcome negativity because I get something great out of it, that's my pendulum is always on a positive side. It's always, it's a very one-sided deal for me. Now, it does sometimes, I will have things that will swing the other way, but I really don't want to leave it there. I don't want to leave it there just to be a monk.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, I get what they're doing. I understand what they're doing, but that doesn't work for me anymore.
Wow. Absolutely understand that. So
Well,
it's
and it's important for people to hear contrary kinds of ideas, contrary kinds of ways of looking at it, because we are so indoctrinated into hearing something that sort of makes sense and then accepting it.
right.
And a lot of stuff that we've been taught makes an awful lot of sense, and it seems like it's really good, but it's lacking.
Right.
It's like it doesn't take us far enough, and people don't process it and think, well, okay, well, that's really nice, but what else?
Absolutely.
Uh, So yeah.
That's what I teach my students also. And the aspect is that take a cheesecloth and as you listen to me, put everything in that cheesecloth. What makes sense to you will stay in that cheesecloth. The rest you can just let it go, because not everything works for everybody. Not one size fits all. And that is we have our own way of processing and thinking. It's the same way as that if I told you a table as you grew up, and I told you a table was a chair, and I told you that your whole life, and that's what you heard every day was that table was a chair. You go to school, and they tell you to sit down, sit in your chairs. You'd sit on the table.
You would sit on the table, right?
Exactly. So so we have this process that we go through that we think because we are told how we're supposed to think. This is what it's to how we see it. So we are seeing things as our parents told us how to see things. And what you're doing and what you're bringing out and everything else, the connection and consciousness and everything else of that, and this new riveting idea is to think for yourself. How does that chair really look to you? How does the table really look to you? Is that really a chair, or is that really a table? Just because we can't see something doesn't mean it's not there either.
And sometimes, okay, I I love this. Do we still have a little time?
Yeah, we got about 4 minutes.
4 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to have to come back for this one. I can't do this one in 4 minutes. But I said something. I said something at my talk, and it was a very profound kind of statement. And I asked people. I said, if I continue to talk right now and told you all kinds of different things, you would leave here today and you would not remember what it is that I just said to you. If I didn't draw attention to it, you would walk away and you would not get it. It would not be in your psyche. You would listen to all the other stuff that I said, and you would walk outside and you'd say, what the hell was that thing that he said that was really good? That was God, that was amazing. That was a wonderful line. And you wouldn't get it. And then I said, how important is it that you didn't get it? And Rod, not important at all.
Absolutely.
It's not important at all. That's, just be happy. That's all that's important. That other stuff. What was one of the ways that statement that I used was really profound is because I was able to tell people that just because it's profound doesn't mean anything. So what?
Exactly.
What's it going to do for you?
Absolutely.
It's just going to confuse you and piss you off.
Just because it was on Facebook doesn't make it real.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, Ray, it's great. We got to have you on again. Okay, this is awesome. That Cindy wanted to be here, part of and be part of it, but she's got some other stuff that she's been going on, so she couldn't be here tonight either. And that she's in a class and that. But I'm really glad to have you in that. So tell us a little bit, Ray. How can people get a hold of you? Where can they see you? Do you know where your next speech is coming?
I don't have. I'm just going to start posting stuff about another talk here. I'm going to, maybe it's going to be at your place, but I really am going to hit everything that I can and start to get out there. I'm looking for some places to show people about ribboning. You can reach me at Inner Power Insights, and I don't know how else to do that, but well, okay, okay. Hey, listen, everybody, you can reach me through Rod.
Oh my gosh. Really?
He'll tell you how to find me.
I just became Ray's answering machine. Yes, thank you very much.
There you go. Take advantage.
But do you have an email or anything else that they can send it to?
Just RAYKOP 0326 at Gmail. And you could reach me there.
One more time again, Ray? Say that one more time. It's RAYKOP 0326 at gmail.com. Awesome. Awesome. Now you have an office too that you see people there too, right? And
Yeah, my place is at 19th Avenue in Camelback, and if you want to, I mean, you can look me up at Inner Power Hypnotherapy, and and that'll bring you to my website. And my website's being changed. It's going to be Inner Power Insights soon, but Inner Power Hypnotherapy will get you there,
oh,
and you can check that out. There's ways of reaching me through that.
Inner Power.
It's a beautiful website.
Inner Power Hypnotherapy.
Inner Power Hypnotherapy. Yes.
Yep. And it's Ray Kapkowski. I said that.
KOP. You did a great job.
Yep. You can also find.
Only took you what, 10 years?
Yeah. It's taken me a little bit, just a little bit. Hey, I used to call Ray Cup of Coffee all the time because when I first met Ray, he owned a coffee shop, and I'd go there all the time. A lot of metaphysical people were there and everything else, and so I always thought his last name was Cup of Coffee, and so it was kind of interesting.
Yep.
So I'm very happy, excited to have Ray on our podcast today. Very exciting. You can get a hold of him on Facebook on his Inner Power Hypnotherapy. Learned about where he's going to be talking next, and that I'm sure he's going to be at Beyond Today here and that, and come and see him. He's got some powerful things to say, and it's pretty profound. It's pretty awesome. Every time I talk to him, I learn something. It's really funny. Is we were sitting around Beyond Today earlier, and there's like 5 of us guys in that we're just talking there, and that we said, hey, this should be our podcast, and it was hilarious. We're having a lot of good time in that. I'm usually at Beyond Today. I'm usually overran by females, but it's kind of nice to have 5 males in the front room.
All guys.
Yes, all guys.
Hey, listen, I want to thank you, and I got to tell you, I've known you for a long time. I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud to know you. You got some good stuff going on, Rod, and I love you. Thank you.
I love you too. Thank you so much. We're perfect, aren't we? We're just perfect.
Yeah, we're perfect. Yep. You're absolutely perfect.
Yep. My name is Rod.
All right, buddy.
My name is Rod Lyman, and this was Ray. We're at Beyond Today. I'm at Beyond Today. Ray's at his own house, and Beyond Today is located at 11223 North 28th Drive, Suite F101 in Phoenix, Arizona. Our phone number here at Beyond Today is 602-374-4926. That's 602-374-4926. I hope to see you guys, and you guys have a blessed day. You are loved, and I am blessed. Have a good night.